It's not because Christianity recommends, X, Y, and Z, but it's through Christianity that we become great.
They condemn racism, but they only condemn whites who happen to be racist.
And in a way, God is just whatever it is that keeps our civilization going.
White people are constantly being told that race is a social construct. It's not even biological.
And you think, where do you belong? Yeah, you belong in a shopping mall. There's nothing to you other than that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. On this fine Tuesday in February, I am Matthew Drake. Good to be with you. No guests tonight. It's just gonna be us. So, yeah, it's gonna be an exciting show. Thank you to everyone who's been wishing me the best with being a new parent and a father. Just as an aside, if you do hear crying during this little stream here, that would be why. So, yeah, we're gonna start with a little prayer, as we do. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the gift of life and for the real privilege in our life, which is our heritage and our genes and our culture, and help us to not be ashamed of those things, and help to lift us up and to breathe in the Spirit as we go about our duties, and help us to know when to be cautious and when to be courageous. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. All right. So I see people are starting to come in now. Do I have scripture? Okay, I do. I do have a scripture. How you guys doing? You doing good? Yeah, good show tonight. Glad you're here. So, our scripture is from Romans 8, 1 through 11. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life in Jesus Christ has set me free from the law of sin and death. For God has done what the law, weakened by the flesh, could not do, sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin he condemned sin in the flesh, in order that the just requirement of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit set their minds on the things of the Spirit. To set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the Spirit is life and peace. For the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law. Indeed, it cannot. And those who are in the flesh cannot please God. But you are not in the flesh. You are in the Spirit, if, in fact, the Spirit of God dwells in you. Any one who does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to him. But if Christ is in you, although your bodies are dead because of sin, your spirits are alive because of righteousness. If the Spirit of him who raised Jesus Christ from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Jesus Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also through his Spirit which dwells in you. Here's the reading of our scriptures. Yeah, I had some people calling me out or something. They call just the typical names. Christ cuck. I like your channel if you weren't such a Christ cuck. Well, that's just how it is. I'm just a Christ cuck, I guess, if that's what it means. And sorry guys, that's, if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. But I think there's a lot of value in reading the Bible and learning from the scriptures. So, yeah, okay, Christian identity all the way. So we're here, and before we get into the big scoop, the meat of this program, because it takes a while for people to get word that this is happening, and so I just wanted to go over, just have a little fun here, and looking at the ADL's webpage. Oh man, why am I doing this? Why do I subject myself to this stuff? Well, because I care about the ADL, and frankly, I'm worried about them. I'm worried that they're not upping their game enough. They have this hate on display, hate symbols database. Oh, there we go. That's better. Yeah. So I sent out a tweet earlier because I just found it amazing. There's all these numbers. If you look at all the numbers, I went on to, if you go on my Twitter, you can see this. I listed out all the numbers, which are hate symbols. So you guys out there, if you're using any of these things, you are condoning hate. You are spreading hate if you use the number 43. Or heaven forbid, 88. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like, this is insane. A lot of these are just, like, 9%. 9% is a numeric white supremacist symbol that refers to the percentage of the world's population that is purportedly white. Oh, no. So, if you talk about this fact, about the fact that whites are actually a minority around the world, and a very significant minority, and decreasing every minute, well, you're just filled with hate. You're spreading hate. So I wanted to give the ADL some advice, because, for one, somebody pointed out that 109 is not on this list. But we all know that is a typical anti-Semitic canard that is used. Now, mind you, most of these are, okay, all of them. I didn't find one. What am I talking about? Most. They're all relating to white people. So I guess white people are the only ones who are capable of hatred. So they've got a lot of these things here. Aryan, Brotherhood, this, blah, blah, blah. A lot of stuff from the 80s. And I think the ADL, what do you guys think? Oh, is 6 million a hate number? It depends on who's using it. See, you can use any of these numbers if you're a non-white, or, a blue jay, somebody. But if you're white, that automatically makes using these symbols hateful. So I don't know. Maybe they should put 6 million on there. Confederate flag is a hate symbol. A lot of these, they just find like the jankiest tattoos that they can find. Coors is an acronym for Comrades of Our Racial Struggle. Is a racist skinhead group whose members are primarily based in Southern California. So this is for, your grandmas out there and your boomers out there who are still living in the past couple centuries, and they really think that all of these groups, these skinhead groups, are out there. Echo is a new one, as far as I know. So if you see new ones, that's probably because they just felt that they couldn't leave it out. So here, this is actually European kind. What I came here looking for was, this emoji, the new emoji, pinching. I wanted to see if the ADL had updated their list, and it seems that they haven't. They do not have the new pinch emoji on there, which is everyone knows it's a white supremacist symbol, degrading blacks, because it's like you're picking the cotton. So this is a symbol that obviously goes from the very top. Apple and Google, they're all in cahoots because they're all run by white supremacists. Isn't that right? So, yeah. H8. Oh, the word hate. The word hate is a hate symbol. Wow. It is, what do they say? It is common for white supremacists to deny being racists, or to claim that the group to which they belong are not hate groups. But in fact, the word hate itself is commonly used as a white supremacist symbol for tattoos and clothing. Okay, and again, where are they getting this? There are no citations. Citation needed. I mean, I thought that I was somewhat knowledgeable about this culture, but it seems that I have really no idea. There's people, I guess, in the movement. If anyone, you saw me on the Richard Spencer show, they had Matt Parrott on there. He's another one who's been, I don't know, I don't call myself all right, but say I'm in these circles, but there are people who have been in these circles for a long time. And perhaps things were different back then when people didn't have as much notoriety, but I don't know. I don't see much of this stuff, and maybe I'm just not in the know. Ku Klux Klan robes. That's a hate symbol, don't you know? So anything that's like an ancient symbol, they have the sonogram, and what was this one here? The life rune. So anything that could possibly be tied to Nazis. No race mixing. So if you don't want people to race mix, you're a white supremacist. I guess that makes Muhammad Ali a white supremacist. Peckerwood. Someone says, loving your streams, bro. Well, thank you. Yeah, just so people know, because of the parenting thing, I wasn't streaming as much. I'm probably not going to go back to the pace that I had in December. That was a pretty hardcore pace. I was doing, at least 3 videos a week in addition to the regular drawings that I do. And it's probably too much. So, but I'm going to commit myself to 1 stream a week to start. We'll see how that goes, right? Okay, here's Pepe the Frog. It's a Pepe with a Hitler mustache saying, "Kill Jews, man." Of course they picked that one. I mean, Pepe the Frog, there's millions of memes of Pepe the Frog. But if there's one that gets associated with Hitler because people are edgy, well, then the whole meme is suspect. Sieg Heil? I mean, is that even a symbol? That they're just putting words. Like, I love white people and I hate all other people. Oh, that sentence is a hate symbol. Okay, I would agree if you're saying you hate other people, but white pride. So they got Stormfront's logo on here. Swastika. Again, anything that has Nazism is just easy. So, okay, if you ever played Zelda, well, you were playing a white supremacist game, I'm afraid, because the Triforce, that's gotta go. You see, the Triforce is actually made up of 3 Ks put together. Did you know that? All right, I've had enough of this, but it was just fun because I didn't expect them to have so many numbers on there. And it's funny. I was joking with somebody else, like, they wrote like 1488, and I replied like 1472 or something, which is the 14 words plus good boy. So, good boy nationalism. Yeah, I'm all about that 72. I'm not going to explain the memes and stuff. I mean, if you don't know, you don't need to bother yourself. Okay. So, hello there. Hello there. What is this stream about? This stream, we are going to be reviewing a little episode that I watched. And the title of it is, Do All White People Think the Same About Race? Now this is, I think it's on YouTube Red, don't quote me on that, but it's called Spectrum on the Jubilee channel. And this is episode 4 of their little experiment. And, well, yeah, let's start it off. Also, they have one here, do all black people think the same? I haven't watched that one. If we have time, I'll definitely watch it so that you guys can get my live, in-the-moment responses off the cuff. I can respond to that and hopefully compare it to how the white people think. But, okay, so the setup is they've got 6 white people, and they all line up in the middle, and you've got different lanes, and so it's called Spectrum because they ask people questions, and depending on how you fall, you go to one side or the other. Either strongly agree, you go to the other side of the one side of the room. Strongly disagree, goes to the opposite side of the room. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Okay, let's dive in.
All black, could I relate to you guys?
Halloween is just like a weird holiday to be dressing up as anybody else's culture.
You can say the same thing about any costume. Are you going to tell a 6-year-old girl that she can't dress up like a pirate because she doesn't know the history of pirates? Like,
that's very different.
What?
Here they're going to explain the concept. We invited 6 white Americans, so they're not specific about where they got these people. I think as we go on, you'll have some questions, and you can look in the comments too. That's a lot of fun. So, but okay, it's 6 white Americans. I believe they're telling the truth. We asked them to agree or disagree with various statements about race. Okay, so, somebody actually, the first person in this chat, actually, to go way back to before I started the stream, said, an Anonymous, which is a good name. I like it. He said, cool concept. And I agree. It's a cool concept. I like the concept. When I heard about it, I was like, yeah, this is interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. Are you guys excited to see what happens? You might be having a little trepidation. That's understandable. People have culture. Okay, so white people have culture is the first question. And off the bat, you see fat girl. We're going to call her fat girl because she's fat. And a girl, I think. They don't have any trans people here. I think that's discriminating because they don't have trans people in this lineup. Oh, that's a good frame on this chicken front. Look at her face. Not very flattering. She's definitely the best looking and has the best opinions. Isn't that funny how the best looking people are always the most right wing. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but anyway, I would, this fat girl laughs, just at the very question, so that's almost a giveaway.
2, 1.
We're all.
Let's go back here. So we've got 2 people agree, 2 people somewhat agree, 1 person, somewhat. You know what I should be doing though is giving my opinion before they actually spread out. And I'll have to do this sort of on the fly because I didn't write this down. But okay. Do white people have culture? I'm gonna strongly agree that white people have culture. Okay, hit play.
We're all technically white. If you're from England, if you're from Australia, if you're from wherever, South Africa, we all have these crazy places
What?
we come from. And these
Wait, where? South Africa? Who? Oh my gosh, this woman is listening to some really alt-right podcasts if she knows that there are white people in South Africa. How are those white people faring, I wonder? Let's so the implication that whites don't have culture. Yeah, right. I mean, I guess they have to ask one question or the other, but unfortunately it is a question that gets asked. So yeah, it's pleasing to see that there are some people in this group who agree that white people have culture. Isn't that nice? They can agree with that.
people are around and we get those ideas from those people, but that doesn't mean us as a whole have no culture.
But as a white person, it's...
All right. That was a bad argument. She was just like saying that we don't have... She was already on the defensive, right? She was already anticipating what other people were going to say, which is that white people, white people don't have the same things that other races have, like basketball or all this other stuff. I'm not going to comment on that right now. I think it was a bad way to start off.
It's not really a culture. You can have culture like I'm hella Irish, obviously, and that's a culture. But just being white is not it's not a culture. I can't relate to you just because you're white.
I think you could say that for any ethnicity, though. If we were all black, could I relate to you guys if just because of the color of our skin?
Yes, because they go through very similar experiences. Like they'll get discriminated against, and you're not getting discriminated against because of your skin color.
Oh, I'm gonna stop you there. Blue jean jacket. Isn't it interesting how blue jean sounds like blue jay? This guy, he says he's Irish though, so okay, he's got the hair. Man, what a cuck! It's like the cuckiest one, the blue jean jacket. Like that's always gonna be the social justice guy. I hate the jean jackets. They're just the worst. Every time. Okay, so what is he saying? He's saying white people don't get discriminated against. White people don't get discriminated against. I want you to think about that. Because what we have here is what's called a performative contradiction. It's big language, but it basically means it's a self-defeating argument. The action that he is taking is disproving his own point. He says white people don't get discriminated against, but of course he's singling out white people. He is discriminating against white people by saying that they don't get discriminated against. Like how can that possibly be? With that many people in the America, that you don't have any white people getting discriminated against? Like, are you serious? Non-whites are just these perfect angels. all the time. And, white people never get discriminated against. He'd have a much stronger argument. He could at least have something to stand on if he said white people sometimes experience discrimination, but not as often as non-whites. I think he'd be wrong. But at least we could argue about that. But no, he's basically contradicting himself here.
They can both relate to that.
But I also feel like with culture, we branch out, we try different things, we want to do different things. So maybe we've lost a little bit of our culture. Maybe.
Yeah, this woman, God bless her. The flower dress girl, she's not too bright, this one. And you can tell sort of by the upswing at the end. Maybe we've lost a bit of our culture. But I do think it's funny. Like, she's kind of onto something. Which, I don't mean her she's stupid and that's an insult. I don't mean it in that sense, because sometimes the dumber people have more common sense. And this is one of those cases. I'm pretty sure that those other two guys might be smarter than this girl, but she's to the right of them in this issue. So yeah, a lot of times these people who are super educated doesn't mean they're gonna be able to ascertain the correct positions on things, right? Okay, but this is that this is the woman among the ruins here. Maybe we've lost a bit of our culture? Oh, if only you knew how bad things really were. Yeah. I'm thinking that she's actually convinced me. I think I might have to change my position on this one. I think that maybe I am in disagreement that white people have culture, because it's been taken from us, hasn't it? I think you could make that argument for sure. So I'm in the slightly disagree category right now. Thank you, flower dress girl.
Maybe we're creating a new culture.
There you go.
I believe in reverse racism. 3.
So I just wanted to pick up on what the blonde girl said. If you caught it, maybe we're creating a new culture. And I think that's an interesting question. Maybe you guys can let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's possible to create a new culture? I think kind of yes and no. If culture is tied to genetics, which I think it is, then it can't be some kind of radical shift, unless there is a radical shift in the genetics or in the evolution. But we are slowly evolving at all times, so it would make sense that new cultures could over time emerge. And I would say that Americans, that is white Americans, are their own thing and their own culture that's separate from European Americans, and that's been a period of a couple hundred years. So sure, you can forge a new trail, but it can't just be some kind of fad like, oh, I'm going to have this awesome new culture. No, I mean, subculture is very different than general ethnic culture, I would say. All right, on to the next. Reverse racism. Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, wait, let me give my opinion. Oh, no. Oh, no.
For 1-800.
I don't know what that is.
Sorry. Clicked on the wrong thing there. So she's having trouble deciding. Let me give my opinion on reverse racism. Is reverse racism? Do you believe in reverse racism? Well, I hate the term, but yes, I would agree with that statement.
You can explain it.
Okay, what is it?
I'll stay here then.
Before I decide.
Reverse racism is like someone being racist against you because you are white. Like, do you believe that someone can be racist against a white person?
Yeah.
I also want to ask, we'll find out sort of at the end, but I wonder who's asking these questions. Because it matters. Unfortunately, it matters whether the person asking this question is white or not. Or even if there's a white person, even if there's a non-white person in the room, it could make a difference. You know, like, it's sad, but people want to signal when they're around non-whites. Just I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to offend this person. So if a non-white is asking this question, I think that could bias things. It would be more unbiased if they just had it on a board or a screen. Okay. Someone says, I want to hit that blonde girl up. I mean, yeah, she got some looks, and you'll see later on she definitely is agreeable, but what woman is not agreeable that is also going to be a good mother and a good caretaker and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of funny, like there's these women who are more based and red-pilled than these two guys here. So someone says you can sense the bias from the person asking. Maybe.
I grew up where it was completely like Hispanic culture. I was constantly made fun of because I was white. Oh, white people can't dance. White people look stupid, whatever.
They shouldn't say white people can't dance, but they can't dance.
No, yeah, I can't.
They shouldn't say white people can't dance, but they can't dance. Oh my gosh. She has to like cover up for her opinion. You notice this? It's like I can't just go all the way, so I have to like give a concession. Well, people shouldn't be mean to whites, but on the other hand, we do some stupid stuff and we can't dance and we're kind of goofy. And so it's this self-deprecation, which is pretty common, I'll have to say. But yeah, I mean, white people can't dance? Are you kidding me? What about ballet? What about the Spanish flamenco dancers, salsa dancers? There's plenty of dance and the river dancing and stuff like that. Are you saying that that's not a white person dance? Ballroom dancing? We are the kings and queens of ballroom dancing. Thank you very much. So white people can definitely dance. I'm going to stand up for us on that ground.
Dance, just putting that out there. But I mean, like, being honest though, like they would say those mean things to me and more hurtful things than that. It's like a hard pill to swallow because if I turned around and said, black people can't dance, I'd get hell for that. But then if someone says the same words to me, it's somehow okay because...
You have to look at the difference of it though. And
you have to look at the difference of it. So even in her argument, it's very feminine. It's very, I feel hurt when people say things, and that's the reason that I should be discriminated against. It's just, it's very emotional, and unfortunately, that's the way our world works. Is emotion. People run on emotion. So if you're especially if you're a woman and you start saying, I'm hurt, or I'm offended, or something, or my honor's been hurt, or something. People are coming after me because I'm white. That does work to some degree. So let's see what the
I relate to you. I grew up with all Latino or black friends. I had very few white friends. And yeah, I got made fun of for being like the white girl. I was gringa. And I didn't take offense to it because the huge part about
Why not? Why didn't you take offense to it?
racism is that there's hate and oppression behind it. And as a white person in America, I do not feel oppressed.
And
There's that Valley Girl accent, and there's the feels as well. I do not feel oppressed. Okay, but, you know, slaves, I'm sure there are some slaves who didn't feel oppressed either. Are you going to tell them that because they didn't feel oppressed that they weren't oppressed? It's like, there has to be some objectivity here, because otherwise you can just go around saying, oh, well, I feel oppressed, and whoever says I feel oppressed the loudest, you know, this is the whole victim mentality thing, which there's some merit to that, right?
I definitely think that we should take the log out of our own eyes before worrying about the sawdust in other people's. Like, I totally agree with that, but there is sawdust, so that's kind of just what I'm saying.
For me,
I think this girl here, this blondie, is a fan of Jordan Peterson. I think she's been listening to some Jordan Peterson, or maybe she just reads, you know, liberal passages from mistaken from the Bible. But you know, here's the thing: is the log and the sawdust. Well, how do you know that the log is in your eye and the sawdust is in somebody else's? How do you know that it's not the other way around? And I'm the first to say, like, yeah, white people aren't perfect, but you can't ever have a standard of perfection. So there's no point in even saying that. That the question is, how do we come down relative to other groups morally? And I think we score far and above them if you look at our track record. You know, ending slavery and all these things for individual rights, to the point that we just went way too far overboard. So, you want me to feel guilty? Give me a reason why. You have to make it a fair comparison, and you can't just assume, because you've been told by the media, that you are more at fault than people who are a minority. Why? Just because you're the majority? That never works the other way. If whites become a minority, they're not suddenly, the media's not going to suddenly say, oh, now white people are oppressed, and whoever is the majority of the country, let's say it happens to be Hispanics, oh, well, now Hispanics are the oppressor. Do you really think it's going to flip that other way? Are you willing to risk everything on believing that it's going to flip the other way? I don't think so.
I feel like anything we do can come out racist to any other type of race, but at the same time, if they say something mean or racist to us that we feel is racist, it kind of gets brushed off.
When I think of the word racism, I think more towards oppression, so that's why I'm in the disagree. Like, I'll deal with someone just being mean to me, but whatever.
But whatever. I mean, it's this nihilism of, this guy is probably a millennial, or maybe maybe a Zoomer. Yeah, so oppression. Again, you need to give me objective evidence that black people and Hispanic people are oppressed. And us not wanting to open our borders to them when they don't live in this country, that's not oppression. Okay? You don't have a right to come into this country. I want to know how people who are already here are oppressed, minorities. And don't give me this microaggression BS. It's not a real oppression.
Focusing on race divides us.
Focusing on race divides us. I would disagree. I would slightly disagree with that statement. Let's see how it goes.
3, 2, 1.
So we have one strongly agree, one somewhat agree, and then 3 strongly disagree. So this is interesting. This is kind of like the problem. This is the modern politics. The people who previously were more on the, woke side and saying that white people are discriminated against. Well, now those same people are here saying that talking about race isn't helping, right? We should just ignore it. And I want to agree with them. I just can't after I see all of the examples over and over. And yeah, it would be nice if we could all just get along, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially not anytime soon. So, yeah, talking about race or focusing on race. And again, there's some ambiguity about what it means to focus on race, but I assume it just means sort of talking about race and racial differences, IQ perhaps. That's what it means to me. Someone says, you got that one wrong. Okay, tell me where I'm wrong. Yeah. Would you agree with the statement that race, that focusing on race divides us? Well, part of the problem here is, who is us? And, I have to say that I think whites and blacks would interpret this question differently. I think whites hear this question and they assume that us means all Americans, every race. I'm not sure that minorities hear that question and they think the same thing. They might hear us and just assume, oh, us is my group, my black people. So maybe black people hear this question, focusing on race divides us. Well, no. If us is black people, black people, they vote the same way mostly. So focusing on race actually unites black people. It unites black people against white people. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. So that's another difference between whites and blacks. I think they might interpret this question differently, but and I'm certainly interpreting it to mean us, as in, the whole kumbaya, let's all hold hands, the stuff that we learned in school. We're all one race, the human race, that jargon. But I don't know that other people just jump to that. They have a stronger cohesion built in, perhaps.
I think it's important to focus on race in order to bring us together. There is a race issue in America, and if we just avoid it altogether and pretend like it's not happening, nothing's going to change, in my opinion.
Boom. Don't ignore it. First time I agree with plaid pants girl, and probably the only time. But yeah, I agree with her. You can't just ignore it. Like, if you ignore hurt feelings or grudges or whatever, it's not going to go away. And so, you know what? I think maybe I would move into the disagree category, because even if you assume that your goal is people getting along, you still want to talk about race. So you still can't ignore it, which I understand focusing on it and ignoring it or not ignoring it are two different questions. But yeah, I think I disagree. Thank you, plaid pants girl.
Kind of was was thinking about the question differently, because if all I'm thinking about when I meet someone is, oh, I'm white and she's not white, and I'm white and she's not white, like that for me, that's like what focusing on race is.
Yeah, we're never gonna be happy unless we just like all work together, just to, like treat.
Yeah, but who does, like, does anyone do that? Oh my gosh, I'm white and this person's not white. I don't know, is it okay for me to talk to them? Like, oh my gosh, what should I do? I mean, no, it's a split-second thing. Like, it doesn't take up a lot of mental energy to understand that somebody is not the same race as you. Like, that's just kind of silly, in my opinion. Let's hear from Flower Dress Girl, shall we? It's all so tiresome. You're right, Billy.
Each other like each other, you know, like there is no race.
Yeah, and that sounds great, but it's like we're not there. We're not there. I feel like people who have that perspective might also say like, oh, I don't see color, or try to have that attitude. I don't think that helps anybody. I think.
Yeah, so this is something that you're hearing a lot on the left now, is like, if you say, I don't see color, that is evidence that you're racist now, because you know, you're just lauding it over people, you know. You're just living in this fantasy where like, oh, I don't see color. And I can kind of understand what they're saying. I don't agree that it's that means that we should flagellate white people and stuff. But you know, this here is a good example of exactly why our movement at this point, the dissident movement, I think can potentially gain more ground from reaching out to people that are currently on the left or have traditionally been on the left. Because the people that are left in the conservatives, a lot of them anyway, you know, the never Trump conservatives, they're just kind of... This has been so programmed into them. Whereas the other people, yes, they've gotten anti-white programming as well, but they have a little bit more respect for themselves than to just say, oh, color doesn't matter. You know, they're at least acknowledging that race is a thing in some respects, right? Because if there's no such thing as race, then... you know, they may say it's a social construct, but they at least acknowledge that that social construct exists, and, you know, we should be talking about it. So I think it's not as far of a jump for these people who are already in the disagree category. Maybe I'm crazy here, but hear me out. I think it's not as big a jump for these people to make the leap to, okay, you know what? I do see the oppression. Before, I thought that whites were the one doing the oppression, and now I can see that, if anything, whites are being oppressed. You know? So, yeah, let's go on.
I think we need to respect each other's backgrounds, and like that is only gonna happen if we do see color. We do like appreciate everybody's differences.
Cultural appropriation is real.
Cultural appropriation is real. Real. Cultural appropriation. Well, yes. See, this is a stupid question. They should have asked, is cultural appropriation wrong? But there's no morality in whether or not it's real. So, okay, yeah, I guess people can appropriate another person's culture. Like, that, I don't know. I just don't like this question. So, I'm going to agree.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think cultural appropriation is very real. You see all the time, like Coachella, you know, we're in LA, and you see people in the Native American headdresses without knowing how important that is to Native people.
Yeah, exactly. I think
how do you know if it's important to Native American people? How do you know that the Native American people who say it's important aren't just saying that so they can get money from people who make a business out of this? You can't read people's minds.
I think there's a difference between respecting the culture and completely disrespecting the culture. But then also, if you want to dress up on Halloween like a geisha because you like the costume, you think it's a beautiful costume.
I just like that girl's nod. Yeah, a geisha. Yeah.
That I wouldn't say is...
I wouldn't do that. I think if you're going to go and dress up as a geisha without knowing the importance of it and just being like, well, this is cute, like I'm going to put this on. And also, even if you did know the importance and you're like, I don't know, Halloween is just like a weird holiday to be dressing up as anybody else's culture.
You can say the same thing about any costume.
Yeah. How are you gonna? What are you allowed to dress up as then? It's just so stupid. This Halloween costume thing. It's just another way to oppress white people.
Are you going to tell a 6-year-old girl that she can't dress up like a pirate because she doesn't know?
And by the way, I don't like using the left's language. I think if we could find a better word than oppress or discriminate, let me know. Let me know in the chat if you can think of a better word. But I don't like saying that, and I think it rubs white people the wrong way that we're oppressed. I mean, you can totally make that case. We are losing our country. How? I mean, what other definition of oppressed do you want? But it doesn't feel like the right word. Treat differently. I don't know. Let's keep going.
Know the history of pirates, like
that's very different.
Well, so it's just like
That's very different. Those are children.
I think it's a
Hey, jean jacket guy, don't mansplain me. That's very different. Those are children. It's like, okay, but children, they're seeing this stuff happen, right? Children are seeing the spectacles that are created, and they're watching and they're learning. So don't just say that, oh, I draw a line like it's okay for children to do things like this, but when you become an adult, then you have to just be responsible and blah blah blah. I guess, I mean, are adults even dressing up in Halloween costumes anyway? That's kind of course they're children. Okay.
It's a lot about intention, because I think wearing that thing at Coachella, like, I feel like I would see that as that person mocking.
And also, Fat Girl's point is lost on these people, right? Her point was that you have to draw the line somewhere, okay? If you're going to have a cultural appropriation is bad as a mantra, where do you draw the line? Which culture can you appropriate? And it ends up just being that white people can't do anything. Are white people even allowed to appropriate their own culture? No, they're not. They can't. They just can't do anything. They just have to be nihilists and overdose on drugs to an early grave. That's basically what you're allowed to do if you're white. So yeah, they're allowed into these subcultures like Gothic or whatever, things that are signs of not being healthy. But, what is unhealthy about dressing up as a Native American? What is unhealthy for children to go around and play, cops and robbers, or to play, even put on blackface? This is a big thing in the news, right? Why, they have a certain perspective, and they're looking at other cultures from the outside, admittedly, yes, but, it's not like They're saying these people are horrible. But as you'll see from this next girl's point, like, apparently intention is all that matters. And that begs the question, who gets to draw this line and who gets to determine intention? Well, that's obvious. It's obviously the elites in the society that are going to decide that for everyone else, and the media complex, who are composed of really your average and most upstanding citizens, are the ones who are, yeah. Please. It's not like we're going to be taking a vote on this. The people who have the cultural power and the cultural institutions and those kind of controls, they're the ones who are going to be deciding for you. And it's never going to favor white people. You're never going to see like some black person. Again, it's kind of boring and stuff to flip it around, but you have to do it. See a black person appropriating some European culture. I mean, they don't even think of that as appropriation. They're just like, oh, this is a fun thing I'm doing. And that's the attitude we should have. Like, why not? It's just a fun thing we're doing. There's no real harm meant by it. And if there is someone who's a douchebag and they mean bad by it, it's like, you can reprimand that person. But that has to be done within our own community. It can't be imposed on us from the outside. I'm sorry, it's not going to work that way. People are just going to get resentful if that happens. So let's hear her talk about mockery, shall we?
Well, even if they don't intentionally mean it, it's still offensive.
I should be able to say the N-word while singing along to a song. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, okay. I thought she was going to say more. But, so mockery and bullying are important. And, what was I going to say? Yeah, this is another reason that multiculturalism is a bad idea. It's just going to fail. And the reason is that you have a certain understanding with your co-ethnics about what is acceptable in terms of mockery and bullying, right? And so those things, we make a big deal about bullying right now, but it's actually very important. Maybe not in the harsh sense, and I agree, people can bully out of malice and stuff, but not all bullying is bad, and some, let's just call it social shame, is necessary in any functioning society. So we need mockery. And, notice white people don't mind mocking other white people. They're just careful not to do it to minorities. So, on the other hand, minorities, it seems like they'll mock a white person all the time. And they don't care about if they've gone too far or what. And perhaps that's because in their culture, mockery is okay in that instance. I don't know. I don't know enough necessarily about their culture, but I do know that you can't just mesh these groups together and expect all of the social, lines that get drawn implicitly and in a chaotic, ordered kind of way, a decentralized way that these things happen. But it's all messed up because we do live in a multicultural society, and we have people berating white people. We have people egging on the sometimes less intelligent minority groups. And so we don't even know how these people would act if they were in a homogenous group. And there would probably be a lot less bullying overall. And then you would have mockery and so on to keep people in check. So that's my point, is that kind of thing is important in our society. What was this next one? Privilege? No. Oh, should you be able to say the N-word while singing along to a song? Okay, I'm going to say I slightly agree. You could say I'm cucking, and it's probably just programming, but I do have in me just, stay away from that word as much as you can. Safety valve or whatever, precaution. So yeah, I'm going to say that white people should be allowed to do it, but I'm going to say I probably wouldn't do it. Oh yeah, of course, people are calling me cuck. I know. Fine. Here's the bullying that that I was just talking about, right? So yeah, the N-word. This is good.
2, 1.
The only reason I'm at somewhat disagree is because a lot of my favorite rappers.
We got one person that somewhat disagree, one person that disagree, and 4 that strongly disagree. Oosh. Agrees BTFO. White people. Man, I would at least been somewhat agree, right? I would be of the opinion that I'm okay if other people say it. I just don't want to say it.
Rappers use it frequently. Like if I'm listening to my favorite Childish Gambino song, which drops it like 100 times,
Right. I know. So
you know
like
that
in the car, it's like.
it's like I'm not sitting there thinking.
Yeah, that would be. Someone said neutral. That would be funny if you were just like neutral. I don't really have an opinion on the N-word. Oh, too bad.
All these horrible things about black people, and I'm like, it's just in the song, and when I'm singing, it comes out.
There's like 2 different forms of the word. There ends with an ER and with an A.
There's 2 different forms, guys. This is a big revelation. There's 2 ways to say the N-word. I don't know if you knew this, but you can say it with an R or you can say it with an A.
And like with my friends, they're like, oh, you can say it with an A, like that won't hurt my feelings.
That's what people told me.
But
Like, my beach friends, they told me that I could say the N-word with an A. Oh man, this is funny. So yeah, flower dress girl. She's really coming, bringing out the big guns. Big guns here. It's okay if you don't use the hard R.
also, like, even when I'm in the car by myself, like, I still feel like it's not my place. Maybe I'll, like, whisper it, like, with an A at the end, you know, like, if I'm by myself, but, like, out of the respect for other people.
Oh, no. Oh, so this is like it's like she's in a confessional booth or something. It's like, guys, I have to tell you something. Sometimes when I'm alone in the woods, it doesn't happen often, but once in a while, I will whisper the N-word, only with an A. I'll whisper the N-word to myself silently. And I just feel horrible. Actually, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Is this okay, guys? Do I have to repent for this? So, yeah. She's the N-word whisperer.
People, I just think it's more appropriate not to say it at all.
Do you guys think rappers should stop putting it in their songs?
I feel like if they're
Why?
African American,
If you think it's wrong, though, why?
I don't think it's.
Did you guys catch that? So I like Blondie. You know, Blondie is good. She asks the good questions, the prying questions, if you will. I like her. Yeah, she's like, is it okay if the rappers say it in their songs? Should they stop saying it, huh? So she's trying to apply this universalism. And, you know, good on her. Now I think she definitely listens to Jordan Peterson. Sorry, universalism isn't what our enemies want for us. They may say that so that we go along with it. They're not actually arguing in good faith.
It's wrong because the history of the N-word slave owners would call black people as the N-word.
The history.
R at the end. If people want to take that word and claim it as their own and claim that painful history and like be like, F you, like I'm gonna claim this word, I think they should be allowed to do that. I don't think
No, fat girl, no, don't change, fat girl, no, she's going to the dark side. Curse you, plaid pants woman. You know, okay, I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, this whole thing about, you know, blacks are just taking back the N-word as an FU. So there you have it, folks. She is admitting that the N-word is designed as to be a screw you whitey. That's what she's saying.
Person, I have that right to take a word that was derogatory towards them. They should 100% have the right to do that.
But do you think it's okay for a white person to sing the song?
See, that's where we're like all on the fence. It's like I feel like
it's a word used as my friend basically.
You know what? Here's a solution. Stop listening to stupid rap music that's made not by your people and that's made by people who hate you. Yeah. That's... All right, let's hear from Blue Jean Jacket.
Basically, and just like she said, if they want to take that back from its horrible origins, then I'm totally fine with that. But as a white person, you can't say that word without feeling a certain way.
Yeah, but I have a question.
Okay. And I just admitted to you earlier, I feel a certain way. I'm with you, Blue Jean guy. I feel that way. Why do I feel that way? Why? Is it some objective... I've looked over the historical information. I understand the complex situations so intricately. Or is it because I've been programmed and beaten over the head from the point where I was a child, and they have me in elementary school teaching me these and in a lot of cases, you know, fabricated stories, made up by people who are very biased in history. And how are you supposed to combat that when you're a child and you're being propagandized? So these, you know, I did this series on demons. Father Ripperger, this Catholic guy, talked about demons and possession and the different levels of spiritual warfare. And whatever you know, even if you're an atheist, you have to admit that there's satanic elements that are influencing our culture. And so that's how I view it. It's like, have some sympathy on yourself. You've been attacked by demons your whole life, and a lot of white people have. So we need to dispel those demons, and it can happen. It is possible, believe me. It's going to take more work with some people. But it's absolutely possible, and once this tide starts turning, a lot of people who are just, you know, go along to get along will follow. But no, it's not because they've made some objective opinion like, oh, this word is bad because it represents all litany of history. You know, they know the talking points. They've got the talking points down. But it's just trauma, frankly. I think people need to figure out, when they say they have these feelings about, is this right or is this wrong, these moral feelings, they need to look in themselves, and that requires a bit of self-knowledge to do, but to look in themselves and ascertain, is this a true feeling that originates from in you, or is this something that's attached itself onto you like a parasite?
If they didn't put it in their songs, you wouldn't say it, right?
No, yeah, 100%.
So are they causing people to say that word more often? Because she wouldn't say it if
It's
it
not
wasn't.
white people's place to tell them what they can and cannot use. So.
Yeah, here we go again. It's not white people's place to tell black people what they can and cannot say, but black people can absolutely tell white people what they can and cannot say. So, he didn't say both of those things in the same sentence, but he would agree with both of those things. So he's admitting that there is a different standard. And he has some kind of justification, which is privilege and oppression. Those are the two things over and over and over and over. Privilege, oppression, privilege, oppression, privilege, oppression. But still, the double standard exists.
I live a privileged life.
I live a privileged life. It's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Because I don't mean it in the sense that other people mean it, but there are a lot of privileges that I have that come from people in the past. A lot of them were white, who made enormous advancements for our society and life-saving devices in medical fields, technologies. I mean, it's such a messed up question because in reality, everyone in the world should be able to say, like, I live a privileged life. If you compare your life to 100 years ago, what people were living in. So, this is one of those compared to what things. I live a privileged life compared to what? And of course, what they implicitly are saying is, I as a white person live a privileged life compared to non-white people who are oppressed. That's what that implicitly says. And I would disagree with that statement. But in terms of, have I inherited things from my ancestors? Absolutely. Genetics. You could just say, I inherited my genes. And that is a blessing. I'm grateful to God for that. And it's a privilege to be in this life. So yeah, as someone said here in the chat, bring on the white privilege. I think we can actually do that turnabout where we embrace this. Yes, we have white privilege, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with wanting my people to have a country where we can have it for ourselves, and it is a benefit to us, and we are privileged by the fact that we live in this country, in this nation. Why should that be such a crazy idea? Yeah, SJWs, they tell you, oh, you stole your high standing in society. But we did not steal anything. This is our country. We founded it. Okay, yeah, people are going to say, you stole it from the Native Americans. I'm not even going to go into that because it's old hat. But if you admit that white people did bad things, and you don't admit that everyone else did bad things as well, and everyone else also did much worse things, if you're not able to admit that, then you are anti-white. So Chuck Ford says, hey Matt, just wanted to mention that I enjoyed watching your recent talk with Stephen Franson. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Thank you, Chuck. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, that was a nice, short little interview that I had with him, and that was great. I love him because he focuses a lot on the self-knowledge thing. So if you don't know Stephen, go check him out. Yeah, it's a good point. Are white people the only group that have privilege? Do Japanese people have Japanese privilege in Japan? Do Africans have African privilege in Africa? Do Jewish people have Jewish privilege in Israel? And are you going to say that those things are immoral? That should be torn down? And at that point, do you not see the monster, the nation wrecker that you have become? Hopefully you do. And if you saw it all along and you still cling to these ideas, you're just downright evil.
3, 2, 1.
It's so sad to say because I never say it out loud, but it's the truth, is like getting pulled over by the police. I always feel like I have a little bit of a one-up because I'm white, because I'm a woman. And I feel so bad that that's the truth, but this is a real thing and it's unfortunate.
Well, the good news is, fat girl, your lack of attractiveness makes up for that privilege. I'm sorry to say, but that's negated.
For me, as an individual, I feel like I'm not privileged. Sure, like white people background came from like being higher up on the scale, but I've gone through really hard things before. You know, I don't feel like I'm superior over other people. So as an individual, I don't feel like I'm privileged.
I think
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Flower Dress Girl, for acknowledging that, hey, not all white people have it so great, okay? There's a lot of poor white people out there. They're struggling, especially in this day and age where we now have a generation that is worse off than their parents. So it's not a bed of roses, okay? And that's frankly due to a lot of the policies that have been put in place, like the Hart-Celler Immigration Act and the Federal Reserve chipping away at our dollar supply, and our best and bravest going off and dying in wars for some supremacist country in the Middle East. So, yeah, we have hardships as well. Everyone has hardships, and that's the way it should be. That's the way Jesus wants it to be. That's the way... some people, I'm sure, suffer more than others. It is to some degree a luck of the draw what you get. I understand that. Some people are born with Down syndromes, but my wife was just telling me about this guy who was born without any limbs, and he's able to sort of like push himself along, and he goes and competes in these events and stuff, and I'm sure people give him a lot of attention because he's disabled. There's some of that, but you can't for a minute say that he's privileged because of his race. So, I don't know. It's just a premise that is filled with vile intentions, I think.
privileged, I guess I don't really think that I'm above other people. I just think that naturally I'm treated differently.
Yeah, it's like perception. It's just perceptions.
Yeah, I think that's a huge misconception. I have privilege that I didn't ask for. It's just society sees me as like the standard.
We've lost Flower Girl too. Flower Dress Girl. We've lost her. She's gone to the dark side. This agreeableness of the whammon. It gets you every time. Man. Just go with your gut. Just go with your gut.
for whatever reason, and because of that, I get treated differently. And white privilege, you know, like you said, it's not about what you've gone through or what you experience. It's 100% how the world sees me.
Well, you know, there is such a thing as liberal privilege, I think. I think absolutely. If you're liberal, if you're anti-white, if you're anti-Trump, if you're anti-immigration, sorry, not anti-immigration. If you're pro-open borders, well, you've got quite a lot of privilege there, because you've got this whole class of people in the media who want to amplify your message, and they'll edit you, they'll cut you into the best light possible, they'll lighten your image if you serve their agenda. So, I mean, there absolutely is privilege out there in society, but we need to think about not just who has the privilege, but who are the gatekeepers. Are the gatekeepers really all white? They may look white. Again, this goes back to the skin color thing, which is going to come up. Skin color. Don't say skin color around me.
I am proud to be white. 3, 2, 1.
Just be in the middle.
Strongly agree. Strongly agree. Proud to be white. You heard it here. Proud to be white. I am proud to be white. I am proud to be white. Okay.
Yeah. Can there be a middle?
All right.
Gotta pick a side. Pick a side.
So, we have 2 people in the middle, undecided. 1 somewhat disagree, and 3 disagree. No strongly disagrees. That's interesting.
I don't know which side to pick.
Don't hate me, guys.
I don't.
Yeah, guilty spark. At least they put the blonde in front. Smart advertising there.
Almost went there too. It's like
I think
so
like
hard.
guiltily, like I'm like happy that I'm not oppressed, but I'm not proud of like things people have done in the past.
When I think of being proud of something, I think of something I worked for.
Okay. Have you guys been following the I just thought of something in the line of the white privilege thing. Have you guys been following this Esquire bit in the news? Let me pull it up here. So, here we go. Jamel Hill. This is the Esquire cover this month. And people are complaining, oh, it came out in Black History Month, even though it says March 19. But this has gotten a huge reaction from people. One guy, speaking of privileged, one guy like photoshopped, I believe he was a Blue Jay, photoshopped the word privilege in replacement of Esquire here. Just awful. An American boy, what it's like to grow up white, middle class, and male in the era of social media. And so, yeah, she tweets out, because we don't discuss what we don't discuss nearly enough, the white male experience, and then a face palm. So tell me, where are we discussing the white male experience, other than maybe this program, which is reaching a couple thousand, maybe some other smaller YouTube channels and so on. PewDiePie, he might be the biggest, but he doesn't even talk about it explicitly. Where are we talking about the white male experience other than those couple of places? So this is just disgusting, but I wanted to bring this to your attention before we get off of privilege, because here we have somebody saying something interesting. And you've probably heard this before. When you are accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. So, that's supposed to mean, basically, that white people experience all of this privilege, and now that things are becoming equal, and they're not getting the same access and stuff that they used to. Oh, boo-hoo. Before you were oppressing other people, and now it's equal and you're not oppressing them, so it just feels like you're being oppressed. It's great. I wonder what would happen if we told minorities, no, you just feel like you're being oppressed, and you're actually not being oppressed. But there's another take on this, another spicy take, which is, this is the reverse of the truth, and the Esquire magazine demonstrates it perfectly. In actuality, as I was just talking about with liberal privilege, the minorities and so on, those are the people who have the cachet. They have privilege. And then suddenly one cover of a magazine comes out. And it says, hey, actually, white people struggle too. And, white men especially, they have problems, and it's not always easy being a white male teenager in America. And everybody loses their mind. Because, you see, that's going a tiny bit towards equalizing things. So, for these anti-whites and so on, and the people who follow them and promote this stuff, this rhetoric, it feels like they're being oppressed, doesn't it? So this quote is very apt in this case. I don't think the person realized it. I'm pretty sure this person is, resistance, gun control now. So she did not mean it in that sense, but I think it's interesting nonetheless that it actually applies in the opposite direction that she wants it to. All right. So here we are. We're talking about something.
Or that I had to do nothing to be white. Absolutely nothing. And
I think it was, are you proud to be white?
Things people have done in the past.
When I think of being proud of something, I think of something I worked for. Or that I had to do nothing to be white. Absolutely nothing. And nothing was taken from me because I was white.
It's like saying, I'm a...
So jean jacket guy here, a more individualist interpretation of the word pride. Pride. Well, I didn't do these things myself, so therefore I can't take pride. And I believed this for a while. You can look back at my first video. It was, don't be falsely humble. Take credit for the things that you do. Which implicitly I'm saying, if somebody else does them, don't take credit for them. You have to take credit for what you do. But that's not the sense that the collectivists mean pride. And I've since come to understand this, is that the collectivist interpretation of pride is that you strive to live up to your ancestors. It doesn't mean that suddenly you have no responsibility, just the opposite. You have more responsibility to be great, to take care of those in your tribe who are less fortunate, and so on. So that's what it means to have pride. But he's going to say some more things that will enrage you.
Proud white person is a completely different saying than saying I'm a proud black person. Because when you hear I'm a proud black person, I think empowerment, I think strength, I think courage, I think, all these amazing things that the black community has done and accomplished throughout the years. But then
What have they done? Sorry, I missed that. Could you elaborate on that, Fat Girl? I'm just not recalling all of the amazing things that they've done. I mean, they've scored a lot of points in basketball. I think okay, I'll applaud that. That's good. I don't know, peanut butter? Is that what you're talking about? Like, I'm not disparaging them, but it's just like, this is too much, right? Like, all of these great things that African Americans have done. You've been watching too many movies. I mean, the WOS Kang stuff that you hear in this month of February, and Hidden Figures and stuff. It's not actually true. It's all, there's like a sliver of truth in there, and then the rest of it is propaganda. So keep that in mind. I'm sorry that you've been lied to, by the way.
Then when you say I'm a proud white person, already there's so much hate involved in that.
Thing about that is like how you said, someone who says I'm proud to be black, that's empowerment. Why aren't I allowed to be proud to be white? What makes it
Woo? So she's basically just saying, why aren't I, why isn't it okay to be white? Turning it on them. I love it. Thank you, Flower Dress Girl. You're my new favorite. You're not as attractive as Blondie, but you really drive home the points. I'm liking it.
Because you haven't been oppressed.
Yeah, what are you proud of? Just your skin color? Because yes, that is wrong.
Okay, this guy is a little testy here. I think we ticked off a nerve, but don't let me interrupt you, jean jacket guy. Keep going.
So you're saying I can't be proud to be white because I don't have a culture?
No, that's not what I'm saying. When white people say they're proud to be white, a lot of times, at least in my opinion, they're talking about their skin color, that they're not a different race. I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
But
there it is again, skin color. Can we please just strike the word skin color from the dictionary? Okay, for the last time, race has nothing to do with, skin color is the least important part of race. There's so many more things that are important. Skin color is just the easiest way to determine what a person's race is. But as many of you watching this may know, it's not perfect.
As like we were talking about, as a proud black person, they've been oppressed, that a lot of their culture was stolen from them. And a lot of reasons that I don't like proud to be white is because it has, the Nazis used it. The KKK used it. I don't want to be associated with any of those things, so I'm just...
And there it is. It finally came. The Nazis! The KKK! So, but notice, I want you to notice something. The question was, are you proud to be white? The question was not, are you comfortable with identifying as being proud to be white? Those are two different questions. And you can't see it in here because it's public. These people's faces are on this. It's not anonymous, right? It's not completely anonymous. And they're in person. But if you just do a survey of other people, are you proud to be white? What will you get? Speaking of the discrimination thing, a survey was done of the American people, and about 55% of white Americans said that they believe white people are discriminated against. So I'm guessing not as many would be willing to openly say that they're proud to be white. But it's a subtle difference there. The difference between, are you proud in your heart of hearts? Or it's the difference between that and, are you willing, are you courageous enough to admit that you're proud to be white? That's a big difference, because I don't want to be associated with Nazis and KKK. Obviously, like, that is going to not look very good for me and stuff, and people might lose respect for me or whatever. So yeah, I guess I'm with him in that sense, but you are just assuming that being proud to be white makes you those things. And so they've got you. They've got you in that pincer. Other people are allowed to be, other races are allowed to be proud of who they are. But not white people, because Hitler. It's the final blow. It's the final wall that you always come up against. It's always there. The last barrier, I'm not coming up with the right word for it. There's some better word. Final domino, whatever you will. But if all else fails, then they've got the Nazi thing to fall back on. You don't want to be considered a Nazi, do you? So you better not say that you're proud to be white. Very clever of them. But what happens when people stop caring about all this rigmarole? World War II, there aren't very many people alive who remember it. It's kind of fading from memory. How long is this stranglehold going to last over people? I don't think it can last forever.
I'm just going to completely stay away from that.
Sure, I'm not proud of like what my culture's done, but at the same time, like, I would not want to be anything else. If I had to choose another race, I don't know what I would be. I'm okay with where I am, even though I'm getting backlash about being white.
Woo! It's okay to be white.jpg. Thank you. Yeah, give it up for Flower Dress Girl, everybody. Flower Dress Girl. And I can't believe they ended it on that note. Like, that's pretty cool. Oh, of course, they've got some B-roll in here. Sandwiches and stuff. Okay, we don't care.
How many of you are vegan?
Are you a vegan?
Hey guys, this is John.
And I'm Erin.
Oh yeah, so at least one non-white in here. I'm not sure about this guy. Don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Could be white. Could be not white. Anyway, that is that's a factor, right? So I love white people. I even love the awkwardness at the end of this video. I even love that about white people. What's wrong with me? Am I just crazy? So here we go. We've gone an hour and 40 minutes. Should I? Tell me, guys. Should I watch the black one? It's got almost 4 million views, and it's 11 minutes. But then again, this one was 12 minutes, and it took me an hour and 40 minutes. So, okay, I'm just gonna go through it really quickly, just to see, because I wanna see how this stacks up. I mean, the thing that if you scroll down in this thing here, you can see here they're calling for casting. If you want to be in a Jubilee video, you can fill out this form and they'll cast you in it. So I don't think, and people have said this too in the comments, like, I don't think that this is a representative sample of America. Oh yeah, The best thing if you read the comments. Oh, so people are saying do the black one. Dude, oh, that's a good point. Christopher Wheeler. I'm not proud of what my culture has done. Wait, I thought white people had no culture. I'm going to give that one a thumbs up. It's a good take. I didn't even think of that one. Man, I got to up my game. He's good. So a lot of people in here, I see a lot of blacks commenting on this saying, oh my gosh, the white guilt is so cringy. Like 12 minutes of white guilt. This is the most white guilt I've ever seen. Where did they pick these white people? So, you know, a lot of non-whites are like, here we go. I'm a black person, but I really cannot understand why white people cannot be proud of being white. Because that is who you are, and everyone should be able to be proud of who they are and where they come from. With that being said, I do understand not being proud of the history of white people and racism and such, but I feel there is a difference of being proud of who you are versus using that pride to then be evidence of your superiority of other races, which is what I see groups like KKK do. So, not terrible. Yeah, it's good to see that a lot of these top commenters, they're not buying into it. And notice the title of the video too. Do all white people think the same about race? Well, yeah, the conclusion I have to draw from this is that there isn't that much of a difference. I mean, you had some banter back and forth and some discussion, but you didn't have anyone who was radically opposed to the cultural Marxism of the day. So I have to think that based on this sample, the answer is yes, all white people think the same about race. Now, I know that that's not truth. And I know that there's more complicated elements in it, like some of these people are uncomfortable to say things to a camera, what they really think, blah, blah, blah. But I why couldn't they have gotten some old boomer Southerner who's even like a stereotypical guy? Like, the title is not, do all millennial white people living in New York City think the same about race? You know? And I feel like that's where they got their cast from. So that is a disappointment. I wish that they had chosen better, chosen some better white people. I would love to be on here. I gave you my opinions. I think it would have shocked some people if I had been on there. I think they wouldn't have liked that. They would have had to like shut this thing down. Maybe that's partly it. They're just scared of getting censored on YouTube if somebody has too radical of a view, because then they're gonna convince other white people of this. Anyway, do the black one, they say. Okay, all right. Let's see what happens. Oh, I don't want to do this. No.
All black people aren't going to be the same.
Cool, and I agree with you. And that's why I'm in the disagree column. I don't need that kind of foolishness around the children.
All right, let's fight. What's up?
All right, so it looks like it's going to be a little more lively, this one. This is what I was afraid of. They're going to try to make the black people more likable. Like, frankly, this is more entertaining. Okay, we asked them to agree or disagree with various statements about being black. So there's your cast. We got, how many men? 1, 2, 3, 4 men. So here, already, we've got a different ratio, right? 4 men and only 2 women. That's the inverse of what it was for whites. So the testosterone is like as if black people already don't have slightly higher testosterone, but now we've got more men in the mix. So you're going to see more fiery conversations.
I enjoy fried chicken.
I enjoy fried chicken.
3, 2, 1.
Run over here. I thoroughly enjoy fried chicken.
I don't know if you... It seems like to me like they're also going between the lines. They're like the white people, they like stood on the line. The black people just kind of, okay, wherever I want to go, which I kind of like more. So we've got some strongly disagree, 3 somewhat maybe, and then 2 strongly disagree.
I love it. You know, I understand the stereotypes about it and all that kind of stuff, but I love it.
I just don't really like fried food. I'm not really a fan of chicken. I've never ate it, so.
This one's not afraid of chicken. And just for those who didn't tune in the beginning, I've never watched this before, so I watched the white one prior to giving my takes. Have not watched this one, which is their first episode of the series. Do all black people think the same? Interesting, they didn't ask the same question. They don't ask, do all black people think the same about race? So you get the idea that maybe some of them are not going to be quite about race.
You've never had fried chicken?
I have had it. I don't enjoy it. I don't really eat fried foods. I try to eat pretty healthy, so.
Ooh. A healthy black person? That is really bucking the trend. Just kidding. There's some healthy black people. Okay. There's nothing wrong with white people wearing dreads. Ooh.
White people wearing dreads. 3, 2, 1.
I feel like I'm always on the wrong side of the room.
See, this is more fun. Like, I don't know. Like the previous one, it seemed like a lot of them were clustered together. I think we're gonna have more fun in this round because they're actually more opinionated. Imagine that.
Would you guys be offended if I had dreads since I'm biracial, since I'm half black and half white? So where is the line? Like if someone's a quarter black?
I'm not gonna sit there and come to your face and.
By the way, are they going to ask them anything like political? Like, are you a Democrat?
Be like, you're.
Of course, if they asked them, are you a Democrat, they would have to make sure that they had like at least 2 black Republicans in there because they couldn't have it be
You're not
completely
100% black, therefore you can't. Like, that's not my place. However, if you are a white person and you have dreads in your hair, it's like, what does that mean to you? And you're not even wearing them right. Like, you don't even wash them.
I just don't see how a race can own a hairstyle. To be honest, like, hair is hair. There's all kinds of hairstyles in Africa.
Wait, what? Hair is hair? Hair is hair? Black hair is completely different than white hair. Does he not understand this? What? Hair is hair? Ugh. Really? Okay. Let's keep going.
Africa. I still don't think that like a single race group can say, this one hairstyle, nobody else can do it but me.
Kanye West is invited to the cookout.
Oh, Jesus.
See, these are all fun questions. Like the other ones were all completely serious about privilege and oppression and are you proud to be white? This isn't the same thing at all. I hope these questions get a little bit better. Do you like fried chicken? What?
3, 2, 1.
That doesn't tell us anything. One strongly disagree, one agree, 2 disagree / somewhat disagree, 2 strongly disagree. So, I was wrong. I'm sorry. They have 6 people, and there's not 4 men. Maybe I was thinking the one with short hair looked like a man. I'm sorry. There's 3 and 3. My mistake, Michael Obama. I'm sorry.
Cookout needs to just die. Like, no more cookouts. Nah, bruh, just go home. Like, there ain't no cookout.
I'm sorry, I strongly agree because I don't like the idea of perpetuating this concept that all black people have to be the same and think the same and act the same. I don't think he's...
It's like, okay, they specifically, this is what it seems like to me. They specifically went out there looking for questions that black people would disagree on. Right? Like I said, they're not going to ask them, do you like Hillary or something? I mean, I guess this question is supposed to be kind of like that. Like, are you okay with Trump, sort of, in a roundabout way? But, it's disappointing.
He's fully understood. People like Kanye are creatives, and he uses like creative speech. And some people just take him at face value or like kind of like the literal sense of what he's saying. And if you did that, every creative could be taken the wrong way.
But see how the black community is able to ostracize their own. They're able to say, no, sorry, Kanye, you don't fit the mold. You're out of here. Take a hike. Because you're not serving our objective. That's what they think. I mean, I think if more people thought like Kanye in the black community, things would be a lot better for them. But that's not the case.
I disagree with that, Deep. Like, I don't think that he's so creative and that his words are being misinterpreted. Like, he's making very specific phrases, like black people chose to be slaves. That's completely untrue, and in my opinion, that's just unacceptable.
But I think that's people misunderstanding what he's saying. I really don't think he's trying to.
Yeah,
how do you interpret that?
No, I think what he's saying is there's a mindset where
This guy, by the way, looks like he's a mulatto, right? I think a lot of people are saying this. Yeah, not all black people think a lot, because they have different admixtures of white in them. I hate to be like that blunt, and that is an exaggeration, of course, but hey, if the shoe fits.
Like he was trying to say it in the term of like, it was a choice for you to stay there when you knew that you could have done whatever else to get out and maybe you would have ended up dead, but it would have been better than being a slave. So I don't, it's not like I'm, whoa.
This is not you talking to Kanye. This negates the millions of people who did.
Don't you believe that today there are people whose mindset, they're corporate slaves, or they're people.
But you gotta be careful.
You gotta be careful. Yeah, slaves. Well, I mean, some people will say, whites and blacks have said this, that blacks were better off becoming slaves. I don't know if that's what Kanye is saying here. I don't know the full context of his quote, but are blacks better off having been slaves and been brought to America where their standard of living is objectively better than it would have been? Possibly, but then that gets a little uncomfortable because it's like, wait, I thought we're supposed to hate these people who were our slave masters. It doesn't say anything about the morality of slavery, whether or not they're better off, but you can understand why people would not want you to go down that line of reasoning.
With the language you use, Kanye's an artist, he's a lyricist, so you can't say stuff like that.
I like this guy with his fingers. He's a lyricist. You can't say stuff like that.
Because
He's using
some people
metaphors.
haven't learned their history yet. And some people don't know that it was millions and millions and millions of blacks who fought oppression, who fought slavery.
But you're right in that he needs to be more conscious of his word choice because there's not everybody who's going to understand that.
And that's why I say somebody as smart as Kanye, I think he's doing this for shock value and for money. And if he's doing that, he's setting people back. And that's why
I think he's doing this for shock value and money. I don't get that. I mean, people make a ton of money just going along with the liberal order. Someone as popular as him, like, does he really need more money? Does he really need to stand up there and say, like, I think fathers should stay with their kids, and you know, I wish that I had a father to play baseball with me and to throw the glove around, throw the ball around. Yeah, he's just doing it for the money. It's wishful thinking, and it's nice to have some easy out, but it doesn't fit for me at all.
I can't rock with him on that.
What scares me is the second somebody speak in PC or not, or they're able to articulate what they're trying to say well or not, that they're excluded from cookouts and from a culture and from your identity. And I think that's scary because I'll tell you right now, the more we treat
it's like that's the ultimate question for a black person. You gonna be inviting me to the cookout or what? The cookout. That's like the pinnacle. I mean, good for them. Like, they should have that as a part of their culture. You know, these big black family the cookouts or whatever, where you've got all the single moms coming in and getting their fixins. That should totally be in there.
people who are different and isolate ourselves even, I think the worse it is for us long term. And to be honest, we're going to drive more and more people to have closeted feelings and emotions. And this goes back to people saying like would you rather have a racist next to you that's hiding it, or would you rather have a racist next to you that's letting you know how they feel and you know where...
Amen, brother. I'm going to be that racist standing next to you that you know about. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, of course, they all have to, like, in order to even speak to other people, you have to admit that the racism is real and it's all absolutely true. But hey, did you ever think about this if I flip it on you?
Where they're coming from.
Cool, and I agree with you. And that's why I'm in the disagree column. He can come eventually once we have some conversations. But right now, I don't need that kind of foolishness around the children.
Police target black men and women.
Now this question, police, okay, finally we're getting to something political, right? Police target black men and women. It's not, it's the same as one of those other ones from the whites, where it's just not an interesting question. Forget what that one was. Is white privilege real or something like that? It's just not interesting because there's nothing about justice in there. Police target black women. Who is going to disagree that police target black men and women? Like, that's a pretty hard thing to disagree with. So this should be interesting. I think they're all going to go with agree. But again, it's a bad question.
I said strongly agree. It was created to monitor the minority in the group. Back in the day, it was the Irish, it was Italians, and so it's ingrained into the system of policing. And that's the problem. I think we have to reframe what policing is now. And until we do that, it will always be targeting people of color.
We have to reframe policing. I mean, what do you mean by that? Reframe policing? Are you saying that we need to get black cops in black areas? Because if that's the case, I might agree with you. But then you're talking about segregation, and suddenly there's a bunch of people who are going to come down your throat and resist you. So he's not being explicit about what he's actually proposing. He's just saying, we need some reform because the police are targeting. And nobody in here, I bet, nobody in here is going to say that blacks commit more crime than other groups. You can take that to the bank. I don't think that's going to come up in here. But I'm there is Larry Elder who makes this point. So maybe we've got a Larry Elder in here, huh?
Because that's what it was created to do.
I see it as like there's a little bit of a socio-economic piece to it. It's like kind of saying the SEC mostly prosecutes white people. Through like years of institutional racism, where there's poverty and there's communities that are kind of like have created this like perfect storm of issues, like whether it's legal issues, people robbing each other, selling drugs or whatnot. The idea is if you...
This guy is come down your throat. Yeah. No, this guy is very eloquent, right? This guy seems like a very high IQ. Again, I think mulatto probably, but yeah, he's really rolling out the opposition.
You police that neighborhood more, you're going to have more of them arrested.
Can I ask you, Deep? Like, do you feel like there are equal amount of arrests happening on Wall Street than there are happening in the hood?
Like the white collar like crimes are I do think they're less like monitored and less, but without having all the data that I need. But I do feel that they don't suffer as much consequence when they commit crimes.
That's very true. You got to look at the.
I love that. That's very true. That's very true. White people don't suffer as much. Hey, maybe, I don't know. I mean, Wall Street's pretty scummy. I'm not a socialist or anything, but I would love to see some actual crackdowns there. I just don't think we're going to get it in this political environment, so I'm not banking on that anytime soon.
The prison industrial complex here too in the US, that's huge business. So, and if you look at a group of citizens that have been perceived as no value having to society or whatever.
Did they get, I mean, I hate to use the word minstrel, but like this guy is kind of like really, he seems like an actor or something. I think they really did cast this person and the other guy who talks a lot.
Okay, boom, we're gonna push them, we're gonna pipeline them into that system.
Yeah, and I also think that, the qualifications to become a police officer are so low, and it's like, my life is literally in your hands, man. Like, if I get pulled over, maybe that will be the day that I go home to be with the Lord, and I think that that's really tough for me because you don't want to be distrustful of the police, but they're so incredibly distrustful of us that it's like, you could live.
What? Why are they distrustful of you? I mean, again, nobody's going to bring up the fact that blacks are committing more violent crimes. So if you look at the statistics, cops are actually doing a perfect job, in my opinion, because the arrest rates line up with the rates at which blacks are committing crime. And so, yeah, it sucks that they racially profile, but they have to. They have to do that to do their job. And if you don't like it, well, then maybe America's not the country for you. Maybe you can go live in an all-black country, and then you won't have to worry about that stuff. You'll just have black police and so on. But they like living next to white people. They just don't want the responsibility that comes with the laws in white countries. Some of them. Some of them are okay with it.
Literally kill me.
My father worked in law enforcement, and he's a black man. So there are some law enforcement officers that don't feel that way. However, I think a lot of it does have to do with fear and the fear of black people. So I think that if we kind of address that fear level and that we didn't portray black people, especially black men, as big, scary guys, that would change a lot of stuff.
I act differently around people who aren't black. 3, 2.
I act differently around people who aren't black. I think a lot of them will say they do. But then there'll be a couple. I think they'll be split on this one. Alright, people are still giving me crap about coming down someone's throat. You guys are horrible. I can't be a professional around you.
You moonwalking. Which one? How you gonna moonwalk? Which one are you going?
Yeah, I was pretty much right.
I agree that I act differently around people that aren't black just because, like, corporate America doesn't want to hear me talking.
They should have asked the white people this question. Do you act differently around blacks? You see a couple of black people walking down the street, and do you cross to the other side?
Doesn't want to hear me speaking in slang, and I am not happy about it. Like, I wish that it was different, but I feel like I need to do to fit into that group.
I strongly disagree. I am me wherever I go. I'm a proud black man, and I'm gonna speak my truth every day of the week.
So in other words, you're not genuine with anybody. Okay, good.
I don't like it. Shit, it ain't on me. That's on you. And I feel like it's a disservice to anyone I'm around if I'm not being my authentic self. Because my white friends might want to hang out with me because I'm black. They want some flavor. So if I go in being something totally different, then
There's two different things. There's two different things. One thing is, are you changing yourself, or are you changing how you're communicating who you are? And I'm changing how I'm communicating who I am, and I still remain the same.
Like, do you have a white voice?
Do I have a white voice?
Do you have a white voice? Oh, this is good.
I know, Cole. I'm a black man. Trust me. Every black person growing up in America can code switch.
Then you need to move a little bit.
Ah, code switching. Here we go. I knew I've heard that word before. Yeah, code switch. So, here we go. Frank Underwood sends 50 of something. Blacks dislike cops because the cops represent and enforce the mainstream U.S. values, which for now is white values, not the black community values. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, black. So what would be black values? I mean, are black values just irresponsibility? I mean, I hate to say that because, but it is true. The fatherless rate is higher in the black community. So if you're gonna say black values and white values, this is why I just don't want to deal with this type of thing, like us having to figure out, well, what kind of standard should we hold black people to because they have a lower intelligence and they have a different culture and stuff. I just don't want to have to deal with that question. So I guess I'm a separatist. Doesn't mean I don't want to interact with black people ever. But when it comes to enforcing laws and stuff, it's so complicated, especially when segregation or self-segregation it's kind of just outlawed in this country because of the Section 8 housing and the urban redevelopment and the resettlement and so on. And white flight tries to fix that, but then the government keeps getting in the way. So it's just like separatism has kind of been outlawed, and that's why these things are exacerbating themselves, these problems between the cops and the non-whites here. John Sinclair says, how did you get so good at ebonics? Well, not a lot of people know about this about me, but I grew up near a ghetto, not in a ghetto, but definitely grew up around knowing black people. And it sounds so dumb to say it, but like one of my first best friends was a black guy named Deshaun, and So I guess now he definitely had a white voice. I think he was just acted white more. I don't know if he acted white around his parents or if he probably did code switch a little bit. But that's how I'm so good at that, I think. It's not something that I use a lot, but I don't know. Thank you. I guess thank you. Congrats on the first child, by the way. Thank you, Frank. The first one's always the biggest, right? You're always the most overwhelmed and overjoyed, and that's been a great joy.
But here's the thing. The question was, do I act different when I'm in different surroundings? And no. But see, how would I ever be accepted if I'm always code switching? That means I'm always acquiescing to something else. You see what I'm saying? So in order to be accepted, you got to bring you.
Do you guys, when you say code switch, do you mean you change the actual words you say, or do you mean you change the tone of your voice?
I change how I say it, and I change what I say. I'll walk into a business meeting different than how I walk into the basketball court. So that's me changing to fit the scenario to benefit the end goal. And I don't...
Yeah, it's like, am I walking into a jungle? Or am I walking into civilized world? I mean, I hate to put it that way, but yeah, they've got their own surroundings, and it works for them. And why should it be different? You know, I'm not gonna shame them. Someone said black pride in here. Yeah, black people should be proud of who they are. They do have things to be proud of. As you can see, they're not cucking as much as the white people.
I don't view that as a negative. I view that as me focusing on what the end goal is.
But I feel like American society has made black people operate in that fashion. Because nobody asks white people to code switch. They can be white in America, China, wherever. They accept it. We're around like Visa. But I'm the only one that has to go around and say, oh.
Wait. White people can go around anywhere and just be accepted? I don't think white people are accepted everywhere. You go to Berkeley, California, I don't think white people are accepted there unless they have the right opinions. So.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
I am proud to be black.
Okay, so they did ask this question. I would be surprised if anyone is less than agree on this one.
3, 2, 1.
Well, all right, y'all.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about. Hand clap for y'all. Yeah.
Wow.
I strongly agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Oh
that,
my
you know,
goodness.
we can have these discussions and like...
Okay, what was the white? What did white? Were there any people? I don't think there were any whites who said they were proud to be white. Wow. Oh, there was that one that was kind of like maybe, but then she changed or something. She was somewhat agree with I'm proud to be white. But black people, 100% strongly agree. Good for them.
Still go home knowing that we're family, and I love being black. I love that blackness is expressed many different ways. It's not just one way.
I'm proud to be biracial. I'm proud of my immigrant half, proud of my black half. My ancestors bought their own freedom from slavery.
Yeah, I love being black. I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, yeah, it presents its challenges, but I couldn't fathom being something else. So I am very proud to be.
That's actually what the white girl said too. The one who was kind of like, "Oh yeah, I agree. I couldn't imagine being something else." I don't know. I could imagine being other things. Am I happy that I'm white? Yes. But that's just that's one of those things that's just, are you happy with who you are? Like, that is a mark of you being a well-adjusted person, in my mind. If you're not happy with who you are, how are you getting out of bed in the morning? And that's a deeper psychological thing, really. So a race is a part of psychological health, I think. And in that sense, a lot of white people are sick today, psychologically sick.
Be an African American here in America. Yeah. This was fun.
I said I could imagine it, but some other people are saying, it's the best gift I've ever received being white. Yeah, I kind of understand that sentiment. And if I was some other race, would I have the creativity and capabilities and all the things that I admire and love about myself? Would I have all of that? No. I would be just someone else. I'd have other characteristics, and yeah, that I'm definitely proud, and I'm proud to hand those things down to my kids. Well, I think that wraps this guy up.
The comment section is going to be blown.
Yeah, I mean, so to wrap up, I think I think that this was a good idea by Jubilee here to have these things, and I hope they do more of these things. I'm glad that they are talking about race. Unfortunately, the black was a little bit silly, and it took them a while to get into serious topics, and then the white group, they just didn't have a diverse enough list of opinions, and I don't think I think they also just didn't have enough testosterone in that room there. Blue jean jacket guy was not really fulfilling that for us, so that's too bad. But of course you can't have a proud white man saying things like, oh yeah, I'm proud to be white, and hey, why are we being discriminated against? So you can have some women who are a little more based and asking some posing questions, but I think this is illustrative of sort of what the mainstream thinks is going to be acceptable range of opinion out there. So maybe we could do our own. All this took was a room and some stripes on the room. You could do a much better job, especially if you did a random sampling of people. We could do something like this and just really get people thinking, I think. Because a lot of people look at this and they think, oh, it's just a poll. No, there's a lot of editorializing. That was something that I was running through my mind too. It's like these clips are only 12 minutes each. So think about how much they edited out, right? Did they ask any questions that were really spicy and that people, oh, this isn't going to play well on television. We might get pushback from this, so let's just leave this one out. That may be another reason why you see sort of the cuckiness coming from the white group. So, but I think the racial consciousness is rising in America and the world for white people. And I'm proud to be a part of that in whatever way I can, and doing God's work. And so thank you all. Thank you for your donations and so on. One thing I'm working on is my website, updating the website, and just getting all of my videos on there if I can. It's a big project because I've got years of videos, but eventually that will be up there. So go to my website, illustratedphilosophy.com. There should be a sign up there on the sidebar for my email list, and that is the best way to make sure you get all of my videos in the future, because you never know when I'll be deplatformed. Also, we'll be coming out with a children's book soon. that's wrapped up on my end, just waiting for the printers and everything to get going, and then we can release that. I'm so proud. Speaking of pride, really, I put a ton of work this past year in that book, mostly in the last 3 months, but past year. So, all right, that's our show today. It feels good to be back here with you all. Oh, we got one more from Frank here. Do you interpret Matthew 15:21 through 28, faith of a Canaanite woman, as a pro-nationalistic message from Jesus, like Vox Day? Faith of a Canaanite woman. Not remembering that one. Might as well look it up. A Canaanite woman from that region came out and cried, "Have mercy on us, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely possessed by a demon." But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she is crying after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered, "It is not fair to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed instantly. Well, I'm not sure what Vox says about that. I think there are definitely places where Jesus had a pro-nationalist message. And that is interesting. I'm not sure. He does say, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." And, we know for a fact that the Old Testament is strictly nationalistic, right? Some would even say supremacist. But, I just don't think, like a lot of these things, when he's talking to people, I don't think they had the same problems in terms of, they certainly did have multi-ethnicities back then. But I think it was a lot more segregated. And so when he talks about loving your neighbor and so on, I think that gets misinterpreted, because who is your neighbor? Well, your neighbor is the people of your ethnicity. That's implied. He didn't say import your neighbor and displace your tribe and your community. None of this stuff is in there. So at the very least, he's not a globalist. I think we can at least say that much. And some of the other stuff is a little more ambiguous, maybe because, like a lot of things in those days, he was walking on eggshells, Jesus, and so didn't want to upset the people in charge. So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for your attention tonight. Bit of a longer show. And go forth and be merry. We should have some interesting news and politically coming up, right? So keep your ear to the ground and be smart. Hold your head up high and keep the faith. Till next time.